The lights dimmed across the London Palladium as hundreds of guests settled into their red velvet seats. Tonight was different from any other evening at this historic theater. The Royal Variety performance brought together the biggest names in entertainment, all performing for charity in front of members of the British royal family. Among the audience sat Catherine, Princess of Wales, wearing an elegant navy dress that caught the stage lights perfectly. She smiled warmly at the performers, but those closest to her noticed something deeper in her eyes, a mixture of genuine appreciation and quiet strength that had become her signature look during public appearances. Behind the heavy curtains backstage, Jessie J paced nervously in her dressing room. The British singer had performed countless times before massive audiences, but something about tonight felt more significant. She adjusted her sparkling black outfit one final time and looked at herself in the mirror. Her bold makeup was flawless, her voice was ready, but her heart carried something heavier than pre-show nerves. The past few months had been challenging for Jessie in ways the public never knew. Personal struggles, health concerns, and the constant pressure of being in the spotlight had worn her down more than she let anyone see. The Royal Variety performance had a long history dating back to 1912. Every year, it raised money for the Royal Variety charity, which helped entertainers in need. For many performers, being invited to participate was considered one of the highest honors in British entertainment. The show was always filmed and broadcast, reaching millions of viewers who tuned in to see their favorite stars perform alongside members of the royal family. Tonight's lineup included comedians, dancers, musicians, and specialty acts from around the world. Each performer had prepared something special for the royal guests and the television audience. Princess Kate understood the weight of these events better than most people realized. Since marrying Prince William, she had attended dozens of charity galas, performances, and public appearances. Each one mattered to real people whose lives could be changed by the money raised and awareness created. She had learned to see beyond the glamour and focus on the genuine human connections that made these evenings meaningful. Her approach to royal duties had always been personal rather than formal. Where others might maintain distance, she chose warmth. Where protocol suggested restraint, she offered genuine emotion. As the evening progressed, performance after performance lit up the stage. Comedians made the royal guests laugh until their sides hurt. Dancers moved with impossible grace across the polished floor. Musicians filled the theater with melodies that ranged from classical to contemporary. The audience was treated to magic acts, acrobatic displays, and musical numbers that showcased the incredible diversity of modern entertainment. Princess Kate applauded enthusiastically for each act, sometimes leaning over to share a comment with Prince William or other family members seated nearby. Jessie J watched several performances from the wings before her turn came. She could see the energy in the theater building with each act. The audience was warm and responsive, exactly what every performer hoped for. But when she looked toward the royal box, she felt something she hadn't expected. Princess Kate was watching each performer with complete attention, not the polite but distant observation that might be expected at such formal events. There was something authentic about her response to the entertainment that made Jessie feel like tonight might be different from other high-profile performances she had given. The singer had been dealing with personal challenges that few people knew about. Health issues had forced her to cancel shows and step back from the public eye at times. The pressure of maintaining her career while managing these private struggles had been overwhelming. Being invited to perform at the Royal Variety performance felt like an opportunity to remind herself why she loved music in the first place. It was a chance to connect with an audience through song, to share something beautiful, and to be part of an event that helped people in need. When the time came for her performance, Jessie J walked onto the stage with confidence that masked her internal nervousness. The spotlight found her immediately, and she began to sing with the powerful voice that had made her famous around the world. Her song choice was deeply personal, a ballad about overcoming adversity and finding strength in unexpected places. As she sang, she could see Princess Kate in the royal box, listening with the kind of attention that made the performance feel intimate despite the hundreds of people in the audience. The lyrics spoke about resilience, about continuing to shine even when life tried to dim your light. Jessie J had written parts of the song during her most difficult moments over the past year. Singing it tonight, in front of people who understood the value of service and commitment, felt like sharing a piece of her soul. Her voice filled every corner of the theater, reaching the back rows as clearly as the front. The band behind her provided perfect accompaniment, but it was clear that this was Jessie's moment to connect directly with everyone present. Princess Kate found herself moved by more than just the beautiful voice filling the theater. Something in Jessie J's delivery suggested that these weren't just words being performed, but personal truths being shared. The princess had developed an ability to recognize authentic emotion during her years of public service. She had met countless people sharing their stories, their struggles, and their triumphs. What she saw in Jessie J's performance reminded her of those moments when someone trusted her enough to be completely real, despite the formal setting and public attention. As the song reached its emotional peak, something unexpected happened in the theater. The usual polite applause of a formal event gave way to something more genuine. People weren't just appreciating a skilled performance. They were responding to the raw honesty in Jessie J's voice. The singer could feel the shift in the room's energy. What had started as a professional obligation was becoming something more personal and meaningful. She looked again toward the royal box and saw that Princess Kate was no longer just listening. She was truly hearing every word. The final notes of the song hung in the air for a moment before the theater erupted in applause. Jessie J smiled and bowed gracefully, but she could feel tears threatening to surface. The performance had taken more out of her emotionally than she had expected. As she prepared to leave the stage, she caught Princess Kate's "I One More Time." The princess was applauding warmly, but there was something else in her expression, a recognition that went beyond appreciation for a job well done. Backstage, Jessie J finally allowed herself to feel the full impact of what had just happened. The performance had been more than successful. It had been cathartic. She had poured months of personal struggle and growth into those few minutes on stage, and the audience had received it with a kind of warmth that reminded her why she became a performer in the first place. As she made her way back to her dressing room, she wondered if the evening might offer opportunities for the kind of human connection that made all the challenges worthwhile. The royal variety performance continued with several more acts, but something had shifted in the theater's atmosphere after Jessie J's song. The audience seemed more engaged, more emotionally present. Princess Kate continued to watch each subsequent performance with attention, but she found her thoughts returning to the singer's powerful delivery. There had been something universal in that performance about facing difficulties with grace and finding strength in vulnerability. These were themes that resonated deeply with someone who lived much of her life in the public, while managing private challenges and responsibilities. As the evening's official program drew toward its conclusion, the traditional meet and greet portion of the event was about to begin. This was when members of the royal family would have the opportunity to personally thank the performers for their contributions to the charity event. For many entertainers, these brief conversations were highlights of their careers, moments when the formal distance of royal protocol gave way to genuine human interaction. Princess Kate had always approached these meetings with sincere interest in the people behind the performances, asking thoughtful questions and offering personal thanks rather than generic pleasantries. The anticipation backstage was building as performers prepared for their individual moments with the royal guests. Some had met royalty before, while others were experiencing it for the first time. Jessie J found herself both excited and nervous about the upcoming encounter. She had performed for many important audiences, but there was something about Princess Kate's presence during her performance that suggested their conversation might go beyond the typical brief pleasantries. The singer hoped she would have a chance to express how much the evening had meant to her personally, beyond the professional accomplishment of performing at such a prestigious event. The backstage area of the London Palladium transformed into an elegant reception space as staff prepared for the royal meet and greet. Red carpets were rolled out along the corridors, and security personnel took their positions with practiced efficiency. Performers who had dazzled audiences just minutes earlier now found themselves checking their appearance one final time, knowing they would soon meet members of the British royal family face to face. The excitement was electric, but so was the nervous energy that comes with such significant moments. Princess Kate moved gracefully through the backstage corridors, accompanied by palace staff and security. Her approach to these encounters had been shaped by years of experience and a genuine desire to make each performer feel valued. She had learned that most entertainers, no matter how famous or accomplished, appreciated being seen as real people rather than just acts on a program. Her questions were always thoughtful, her attention completely focused on whoever she was speaking with at that moment. Jessie J waited in the designated area with other performers, still processing the emotional impact of her performance. The song she had chosen had required her to dig deep into personal experiences she rarely shared publicly. Singing it in front of such an important audience, knowing it would be broadcast to millions more, had felt like taking a tremendous risk. But the response from the theater had been everything she could have hoped for: warm, genuine, and emotionally connected. As Princess Kate approached the group of musicians scheduled for individual meetings, those who knew her personally had mentioned to others how different she was from what people might expect. Away from the formal ceremonies and public appearances that defined much of royal life, she was remarkably down-to-earth and genuinely interested in people's stories. Her ability to make others feel comfortable while maintaining appropriate royal dignity had become one of her most valued skills. The first few meetings followed the expected pattern. Princess Kate thanked each performer personally for their contribution to the evening and the charity it supported. She asked thoughtful questions about their careers, their experiences performing at the venue, and their impressions of the event. Each conversation lasted several minutes, long enough for genuine exchange, but brief enough to allow her to speak with everyone who had participated in the show. When Jessie J's turn came, she stepped forward with a mixture of confidence and vulnerability that had characterized her entire evening. Princess Kate approached with a warm smile that immediately put the singer at ease. The formal introduction was brief, but something in the way Princess Kate looked at her suggested this conversation might go deeper than the others. There was recognition in the princess's eyes, not just of Jessie J's fame, but of something more personal that had been conveyed through her performance. "Your performance tonight was truly moving," Princess Kate began, and Jessie J could immediately tell this wasn't a standard compliment. The princess's tone carried genuine emotion, as if the song had affected her on a personal level. "The way you connected with the audience was remarkable. I could feel the authenticity in every word you sang." Jessie J felt a rush of gratitude mixed with surprise. She had hoped her performance would be well received, but having it acknowledged so perceptively by someone she admired was more meaningful than she had expected. "Thank you so much. That means the world to me, especially coming from you. Tonight has been incredibly special." What happened next surprised both women. Instead of moving toward the expected polite conclusion of their meeting, Princess Kate stepped slightly closer and asked, "Are you all right? I hope you don't mind me asking, but there was something in your performance that made me think you might be going through a challenging time." The question caught Jessie J completely off guard. In a room full of people, with cameras and staff nearby, Princess Kate had chosen to make their interaction genuinely personal. The singer felt tears beginning to form as she realized someone had truly heard not just her voice, but the story behind it. Yes, it's been a difficult year in some ways, but performing tonight, especially here, reminded me why I love what I do." Princess Kate nodded with understanding that went beyond polite sympathy. "I think we all go through periods when life tests our strength. What matters is how we choose to use those experiences. Your song tonight turned personal struggle into something beautiful that touched everyone who heard it." The conversation was becoming more intimate than anyone watching might have expected. Other performers nearby could sense something significant was happening, but couldn't hear the specific words being exchanged. Princess Kate's body language had shifted from formal royal protocol to something more personal and protective, as if she was creating a bubble of privacy within the public setting. Sometimes I wonder if being in the public eye makes everything harder, Jessie J admitted, surprised by her own honesty. People expect you to always be strong, always positive. But real life isn't like that. No, it certainly isn't, Princess Kate replied with a knowing smile. I've learned that being genuine about our struggles doesn't make us weak. It makes us human. And tonight, your humanity touched everyone in that theater, including me. As they continued talking, something beautiful was developing between them. Two women from very different worlds were discovering they shared similar challenges. Both lived their lives largely in public view. Both faced expectations about how they should behave, what they should say, and how they should handle difficulties. Both had learned that maintaining authenticity while fulfilling public roles required tremendous strength and careful balance. Princess Kate shared her own perspective on managing personal challenges while maintaining public responsibilities. She spoke about the importance of having trusted people to talk to, of finding moments of genuine connection even in formal settings, and of using her platform to help others facing similar struggles. Her words weren't just kind. They were practical advice from someone who understood the unique pressures of public life. I've always believed that our most difficult experiences can become our greatest sources of strength, Princess Kate said. Not because the pain doesn't matter, but because overcoming it teaches us things we could never learn any other way. Your performance tonight proved that beautifully. Jessie J found herself feeling understood in a way she hadn't experienced in months. Here was someone who truly grasped the complexity of living authentically while carrying public responsibilities. The princess wasn't offering empty platitudes or distant royal sympathy. She was sharing genuine insight from her own experience of navigating similar challenges. Thank you for hearing me tonight, Jessie J said, her voice thick with emotion. I mean, really hearing me, not just listening to the performance. That's rarer than you might think. Thank you for trusting us with something so personal, Princess Kate replied. It takes courage to be vulnerable in front of strangers, even when you're sharing something beautiful. What you did tonight mattered more than you know. As their conversation continued, both women felt the walls that usually separated their worlds beginning to dissolve. Princess Kate's royal training had prepared her for many things, but it was her natural empathy and emotional intelligence that made this moment possible. Jessie J's experience as a performer had taught her to connect with audiences, but this was different. This was two people recognizing each other's humanity across the boundaries of protocol and public roles. The background noise of the reception seemed to fade as they talked. Other conversations, camera flashes, and the general bustle of the backstage area became less noticeable. What mattered was the genuine connection forming between them. Neither woman was performing now. They were simply being themselves in a space that rarely allowed for such authenticity. I hope you know how much strength you showed tonight, Princess Kate said as their conversation began to wind down. Not just in your performance, but in choosing to be real about your experiences. That's the kind of courage that changes people's lives. Jessie J felt overwhelmed by the kindness and understanding she was receiving. I don't always feel strong. Sometimes I feel like I'm barely holding everything together. That's when you're being strongest of all, Princess Kate replied immediately. Strength isn't about having everything figured out. It's about continuing to show up, continuing to share your gifts with the world, even when things are difficult. You've done that beautifully. The exchange was creating something neither woman had fully expected when the evening began. What had started as a formal royal meet and greet was becoming a moment of genuine human connection that would stay with both of them long after the cameras stopped rolling. In a world where their interactions were usually defined by protocol and public expectations, they were discovering the power of simply being real with each other. As palace staff began to indicate that the individual meetings needed to continue with other performers, both Princess Kate and Jessie J realized their time together was drawing to a close. But something had shifted between them that couldn't be easily returned to formal distance. They had shared something genuine, and that connection was about to find expression in an unexpected way. As their meaningful conversation reached its natural conclusion, both Princess Kate and Jessie J seemed reluctant to return to the formal distance that royal protocol typically required. The connection they had discovered was too genuine, too valuable to simply set aside as if it had never happened. Palace staff waited respectfully nearby, understanding that something significant was taking place, but not wanting to interrupt prematurely. Before we finished talking, Princess Kate said softly, "I want you to know that what you shared tonight, both in your performance and in our conversation, has genuinely touched me. I hope you'll continue to use your voice to help others who might be struggling with similar challenges." Jessie J felt her eyes filling with tears again. The combination of emotional exhaustion from her performance and the unexpected depth of understanding from Princess Kate was overwhelming in the best possible way. "I can't believe how kind you've been. I came here tonight thinking I was just doing a performance, but this conversation has meant more to me than I can properly express." Princess Kate could see the genuine emotion in Jessie J's face and felt moved to respond with more than words. Throughout her years of royal service, she had learned to read people's needs accurately. Some situations called for formal dignity, others for professional warmth, and still others for genuine human comfort. Looking at Jessie J, she recognized someone who needed to know that her struggles were seen, understood, and valued by another person who had faced similar challenges. Without overthinking the implications or consulting the invisible rules that governed most royal interactions, Princess Kate stepped forward and gently placed her hand on Jessie J's arm. "Would it be all right if I gave you a hug? I feel like we've shared something too meaningful for a handshake." The question surprised everyone within earshot, including the palace staff who had accompanied Princess Kate through hundreds of similar events. Royal protocol typically maintained physical distance during public encounters, but Princess Kate had always been willing to break convention when human connection seemed more important than formal rules. Her approach to royal duties had consistently prioritized genuine care for people over rigid adherence to tradition. Jessie J looked into Princess Kate's eyes and saw nothing but sincere warmth and understanding. "I would love that," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I really would." What happened next became one of those rare moments when protocol stepped aside to make room for genuine human emotion. Princess Kate opened her arms, and Jessie J stepped forward into an embrace that was both powerful and tender. It wasn't the brief, formal contact that might be expected at such events. Instead, it was a real hug between two women who had discovered unexpected common ground in their shared experiences of facing challenges while living in the public eye. The hug lasted longer than anyone watching had expected. Princess Kate held Jessie J with the kind of warmth typically reserved for family members or close friends. For those several seconds, royal titles and celebrity status became irrelevant. They were simply two people offering each other comfort and understanding across the barriers that usually kept their worlds separate. Jessie J found herself fighting back tears as she felt the genuine care in Princess Kate's embrace. After months of struggling with personal challenges while maintaining her public persona, being held with such kindness by someone who understood those pressures was incredibly healing. The hug communicated things that words couldn't express: acceptance, understanding, and recognition of shared humanity despite their different circumstances. For Princess Kate, the moment represented everything she hoped to achieve through her royal service. Beyond the charity galas and ribbon cuttings, her real goal had always been to make genuine connections with people and offer whatever comfort or encouragement she could provide. Holding Jessie J, she felt the satisfaction that came from knowing she had truly helped someone who needed support. The photographers and staff members present were initially unsure how to respond to such an unexpected display of genuine affection. Royal events were typically more controlled, with predetermined interactions and predictable outcomes. But as they watched the embrace unfold, Everyone present seemed to understand that they were witnessing something special, a moment of authentic human connection that transcended the usual boundaries of such formal occasions. When they finally separated, both women were visibly emotional but smiling through their tears. The hug had somehow managed to acknowledge all the difficulties they had discussed while also celebrating the strength they had each shown in overcoming challenges. It was an expression of mutual respect, understanding, and encouragement that would stay with both of them long after the evening ended. "Thank you," Jessie J whispered, wiping away a tear. "Thank you for seeing me tonight, really seeing me. I haven't felt this understood in a very long time." "Thank you for trusting me with your story," Princess Kate replied, her own eyes glistening with emotion. "Your courage tonight, in your performance, and in being so honest with me, has reminded me why these connections matter so much. This is exactly why we do events like this." The exchange that followed their embrace was quieter, but no less meaningful. Both women seemed to understand that they had shared something rare and valuable. Princess Kate spoke about the importance of supporting each other through difficult times, especially for women in the public eye who often faced unique pressures and expectations. Jessie J shared how much the evening had restored her faith in the power of genuine human connection to heal and inspire. "I hope you'll remember tonight when things get difficult again," Princess Kate said as their time together drew to a close. "Remember that your experiences, even the painful ones, give you the ability to touch people's hearts in ways that matter. What you did on that stage tonight changed people, including me." Jessie J nodded, feeling stronger than she had in months. "I will remember. I'll remember your kindness, and I'll remember that sharing our struggles honestly can create the most beautiful connections. Tonight has reminded me that vulnerability can be a superpower when we use it to help others." As palace staff gently indicated that Princess Kate needed to continue with other scheduled meetings, both women seemed reluctant to end their interaction. The formal part of the event required them to move on, but the connection they had discovered felt too precious to simply abandon. They exchanged a final warm look that communicated their mutual appreciation for what they had shared. "Take care of yourself," Princess Kate said as she prepared to move on to the next performer. "And remember that being real about our struggles is one of the most powerful things we can do for others who might be facing similar challenges." "I will," Jessie J promised. "And thank you again for making this night so much more meaningful than I ever expected. Your kindness has made such a difference." As Princess Kate moved on to her next conversation, Jessie J remained where she was for a moment, processing everything that had just occurred. The evening had begun as a professional obligation, an honor, certainly, but still primarily a performance for charity. Instead, it had become one of the most emotionally significant experiences of her recent life. She had been reminded of why she loved performing, why vulnerability could be powerful, and why genuine human connections mattered more than any career achievement. Other performers who had witnessed the exchange approached Jessie J with curious smiles and congratulations. They could tell something special had happened, even if they hadn't heard all the details of the conversation. The warmth and length of the embrace between Princess Kate and Jessie J had been impossible to miss, and everyone present seemed to understand they had witnessed something unusually meaningful. "That was beautiful," one fellow performer commented quietly. "I've never seen such a genuine moment at one of these royal events. You could feel the real connection between you two." Jessie J smiled through her lingering tears. "It was unexpected and wonderful. She's incredibly kind and wise. I feel like I've been given a gift tonight that goes far beyond just performing at this venue." The impact of the evening continued to resonate as Jessie J prepared to leave the theater. She felt changed by what had occurred, not just by the successful performance, but by the reminder that authentic human connection was possible even in the most formal and public settings. Princess Kate's willingness to break through protocol and offer genuine comfort had restored Jessie J's faith in the power of kindness and understanding to heal and inspire. As the royal variety performance officially concluded and guests began to depart, the story of a meaningful embrace between Princess Kate and Jessie J had already begun to spread among those who had witnessed it. Everyone seemed to understand that they had seen something rare and valuable, a moment when genuine human emotion had transcended the usual boundaries of royal protocol and celebrity interaction. In the days that followed the royal variety performance, the story of the embrace between Princess Kate and Jessie J took on a life of its own. Photographs captured the moment beautifully, showing two women from different worlds sharing genuine emotion and mutual support. But more than a visual impact, it was the story behind the hug that resonated with people around the world who heard about what had transpired that evening. Jessie J returned to her daily life feeling fundamentally changed by the experience. The combination of performing such a personally meaningful song and receiving genuine understanding from someone she admired had given her a renewed sense of purpose and strength. She found herself thinking often about Princess Kate's words regarding the power of vulnerability and the importance of using difficult experiences to help others facing similar challenges. The singer began incorporating the lessons from that evening into her approach to both her career and her personal life. When interviews asked about her recent projects, she spoke more openly about the value of authenticity in artistic expression. She shared how meaningful it had been to perform something deeply personal and receive such a positive response from the audience. While she remained appropriately discreet about the specific details of her conversation with Princess Kate, she spoke generally about the power of genuine human connection to heal and inspire. Princess Kate, for her part, carried the memory of that evening as a reminder of why her royal duties felt most meaningful. Among all the formal ceremonies and official obligations that filled her calendar, it was moments like the one she had shared with Jessie J that reinforced her commitment to using her position to make real differences in people's lives. The embrace had been spontaneous, but it represented everything she hoped to achieve through her public service: genuine care, understanding, and support for those who needed encouragement. The Royal Variety Charity, which benefited from the evening's fundraising efforts, found that the story of the embrace had an unexpected positive impact on their work. People who heard about the genuine human connection displayed at the event were inspired to learn more about the organization's mission to support entertainers in need. The authentic emotion shown by both Princess Kate and Jessie J reminded the public that behind every charity event were real people whose lives could be changed by the support provided. Media coverage of the event focused extensively on the meaningful moment between the princess and the singer. Commentators noted how refreshing it was to see genuine emotion and human connection in a setting that could easily have remained formal and distant. Royal correspondents mentioned that Princess Kate's willingness to break protocol in favor of offering real comfort to someone in need exemplified the modern approach to royal service that she and Prince William had been developing throughout their public careers. Mental health advocates found particular significance in what had occurred that evening. The sight of two prominent women openly acknowledging the challenges of public life while supporting each other emotionally sent a powerful message about the importance of seeking and offering help during difficult times. Several organizations that worked with people struggling with similar issues to those Jessie J had faced publicly thanked both women for demonstrating that strength and vulnerability could coexist beautifully. For Jessie J, the lasting impact went far beyond the immediate emotional support she had received that night. The experience had reminded her that her platform as a performer could be used not just for entertainment, but for creating connections with people who might be facing similar struggles. She began planning future projects that would incorporate this insight, looking for ways to use her music to help others feel less alone in their difficult moments. The singer also found herself reflecting on Princess Kate's example of leadership through genuine care rather than formal distance. Despite having enormous public responsibilities and countless demands on her time and attention, the princess had chosen to invest herself completely in their conversation. This example inspired Jessie J to bring similar presence and authenticity to her interactions with fans, colleagues, and friends. Princess Kate's approach to the encounter became a case study in effective royal engagement within palace circles. Her willingness to prioritize human connection over rigid protocol, while still maintaining appropriate dignity and respect, demonstrated how royal service could evolve to meet contemporary needs and expectations. The positive public response to her genuine display of empathy reinforced the value of authenticity in royal duties. The lasting friendship that developed between Princess Kate and Jessie J became one of the evening's most beautiful outcomes. While their different roles and responsibilities meant they couldn't maintain constant contact, they established a connection that continued through occasional private messages and meetings. Both women valued having someone who understood the unique pressures of their respective positions and could offer perspective and support when needed. Several months later, when Jessie J faced another challenging period in her personal life, she found strength in remembering Princess Kate's words about using difficult experiences to help others. The singer wrote and recorded a song inspired by their conversation that night, focusing on themes of resilience, connection, and the power of genuine human support during dark times. When the song was released, she dedicated it to everyone who had ever offered kindness to a stranger in need. The Royal Variety performance that year became remembered not just for its successful fundraising or impressive lineup of performers, but for a moment that demonstrated the transformative power of authentic human connection. The embrace between Princess Kate and Jessie J reminded everyone present, and eventually everyone who heard the story, that genuine care and understanding could bridge any gap between different worlds or circumstances. The event organizers received numerous comments from guests and viewers who had been moved by witnessing such authentic emotion in a formal setting. Many people mentioned that seeing two accomplished women support each other so genuinely had restored their faith in the possibility of real human connection in an increasingly digital and distant world. The moment had reminded everyone of the healing power of simply being seen, understood, and cared for by another person. As time passed, both Princess Kate and Jessie J continued to reference that evening as a turning point in their understanding of how public platforms could be used for genuine good. Princess Kate incorporated the lessons from their interaction into her ongoing charitable work, always looking for opportunities to move beyond formal obligations toward real human connection. Jessie J used the experience to inform her artistic choices, consistently seeking ways to use her music to help others feel less alone in their struggles. The story of their embrace eventually became part of the broader narrative about the evolution of royal service in the modern era. Royal historians noted how Princess Kate's approach that evening exemplified a new model of royal engagement, one that prioritized authentic human connection while maintaining appropriate respect and dignity. The positive public response demonstrated that people valued genuine emotion and care over formal distance in their interactions with royal family members. Years later, when people reflected on that particular royal variety performance, it wasn't any single musical number or comedy routine that they remembered most clearly. Instead, it was the sight of two women from very different backgrounds finding common ground in their shared experiences and offering each other the gift of genuine understanding and support. The powerful and tender hug between Princess Kate and Jessie J had become a symbol of what was possible when people chose authenticity and compassion over convention and distance. The evening had proven that the most meaningful moments often arose not from planned presentations or formal speeches, but from the willingness of individuals to be genuinely present with each other, to listen with real attention, and to respond with authentic care. In a world that often felt divided and disconnected, their embrace had offered hope that genuine human connection remained not only possible, but powerful enough to transcend any barrier or boundary.